Hello out there. I'm Chris Bishop of 360degreesound.com. I'm joined on the line today by Mr. Howard Jones. He's been praised as one of the defining figures of mid-'80s synth pop, and he is most definitely that. He pounded the charts in that era with hits like What Is Love and No One Is to Blame. But he's also an innovator and a pioneer in the digital era, and has continued to create, record, and perform at the highest level and on his own terms. His songs are thoughtful and encouraging, and he exemplifies the good in the human creature. Howard, it's a true pleasure to welcome you to our corner of digital space.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Chris. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Well, your big 80s hits are well known and much loved. You had a phenomenal 10-year run with Warner, and you released 5 albums on the Elektra label.
Yep.
When they opted not to re-sign you, you clearly did not crack up, neither did you stop and falter. So tell me
Well,
about your
I, I did have a few sleepless nights, to be honest, Chris, because I thought, oh my, is my career over now? I mean, they didn't want to sign me. I can't believe it. I got so much more music in me, and I felt like I'd done so well with those 5 albums. But record company wanted to move on, and but it was actually the best thing that happened to me because I was able to then form my own label and really take control of exactly where my career was going to go myself and drive it myself, book a tour, make albums when I want, make what videos I want to make. And it was really the most wonderful thing to happen to me because it was a burst of creativity that came with that, and so yeah, so really thank you, Warner Brothers.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And you were actually out in front. Here we are, sort of on a podcast, and you were kind of out in front on this concept as a means of promoting your own music and tours. What attracted you to this medium at that time?
Well, it was very fortunate to be at the time where the internet was exploding, and we realized that we could really keep in touch with our fans ourselves now, and we could be putting out our own. We could like dictate, um, how we were perceived without having to rely on the normal media channels, really. And so it seemed like a great opportunity to be launching and myself as an independent artist at that time, and we just took full advantage, and we did crazy things like recorded live concerts and then printed them onto CD at the gig and then sold them to people, so they had a reference of the show, and then a picture of that night from the venue. And so I think when you're independent, those ideas that you have can be initiated immediately. You can put them into action and not have to wait for a whole sort of process with a larger company and people who may be skeptical about doing things in a different way. So I certainly, the wonderful thing is that through Warner Brothers giving me this incredible platform, 5 albums, and really supporting me, through that time, through a whole decade, and having loads of success and loads of hits and everything, that I had a great base to carry on from. So I do, I feel very fortunate that I did have that. It wouldn't have been so easy otherwise. But now, in the time we're in now, artists, if they're prepared to put the work in, they can establish an independent career without ever uh, being on the radio or without ever having a big record company behind them. And there's many examples of people who are doing that now that we probably won't hear about because because they're in this niche place where they've got a huge following, sell out shows, but the rest of society won't necessarily know anything about them. It's
Mhm.
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, some high profile even examples of that are Pearl Jam and Wilco, bands
Hmm.
that have continued to cultivate their fan base and create
Yeah.
at a high level and fill big rooms.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great. So you sort of have paved the way
Mm.
for a new generation of musicians to get their music out there and reach their audience. So good on you.
Well,
So,
it's interesting, Chris, because you know, even if you do have a big label behind you, it is always going to be down to you as the artist or the band to drive that as well, because you cannot ever sit back and like think that everyone's going to just do things and open the doors for you. It's always going to be the artist like pushing and driving and motivating the people around them to actually move things forward.
mhm,
And so I mean that's what I always say to to young artists who really desperate to get somewhere. It's always going to be, even when you are successful, you will still need to drive things and drive the agenda and be the force behind it all.
mhm. Yeah, and you mentioned the platform that Warner provided and the fan base that you're able to build through their support. And it's
Mm,
really cool to see you bridging to your past now. For instance, in Celebrate It Together from 2022's Dialogue, there's a
mm,
lyric, "With you by my side, things can only get better."
mm.
I love that. What do you see as the bridge between your pop charting days and the work you're doing now?
Well, it's just it's a continuation, really. I am a songwriter, and I love making records, and I feel that the fans who have been with me since the beginning and the new fans that come on board, they really would like to hear new music. And although that I know these albums won't travel as far, anywhere near as far as those early records, it's still very important to me to be making high quality work, and putting it out there and because it moves me forward as an artist and as a producer and as a writer and a player. And so then everything, there's a momentum of moving things forward, and then that spills over into the live shows, always trying to present the music in a more high fidelity form, more exciting, more well mixed and cool sounds and whatever.
Mhm.
And I think making new records really helps that process, because you have to keep up with technology and new ways of working. So you're always being stimulated by developments in music and developments in technology. So for me, it's like I can't not write new
Mhm.
stuff. It's
Yes.
kind of part of me. I have to do it. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, you mentioned your live show. So now you have a new live recording live at the O2.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this latest live set that you're releasing.
Well, I've been to see many shows at the O2. It's my one of my favorite venues in the UK. It's in London. It's a huge, massive tent that was used for some exhibition or whatever. Um, and my friends OMD were playing it for the first time as well, and you know, we have a history that goes right back to the early days when I opened up for them.
Mhm.
In and they said, would you come on with us and be our special guest, because we really want to make that night special. So it was special for both of us. So um, I said to the band before we went on, I said, look, you always give me 100% every night we're on stage. But I'm going to ask you if you would give me like 300% tonight, because this is like a pivotal moment for us. We're playing, the biggest arena in the UK, and we really, we deserve to be there, and we're going to really make it count. So they were on fire, and luckily we had recorded it, and recording all works. Sometimes the recording process doesn't go as you planned, but
Mhm.
everything was recorded really brilliantly. I thought we really must make this into an album, so that for the next year or so, people then will have a kind of they'll be able to get a memento of the show they might have seen that night. It'd be quite close to what we did at the O2. So
Mhm.
yeah, so it's got that live energy. I was thinking, oh, blimey, I see why people really want to capture live performances. It's hard to do it in the studio, but on stage there's so much adrenaline and emotion and feeling flying around. It really comes through, if you manage to record it.
Yeah. I really encourage people to check out this recording. I had a chance to preview uh, live at the O2, and you haven't lost a thing. You sound great.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and the energy in the building is extraordinary, and the musicianship is outstanding. You do the hits, but people will also get introduced to some of your newer songs, like "The One to Love You" and "The Human Touch."
yes. Yes, that's right. I mean, I'm always going to be including you know new songs into the set. You know, it's really important for me and the band to be playing new things and showing people that we're not just a museum piece of something we did in the 80s. We're always moving forward. And then even with the, as you heard, even with the songs that people know, we're always like giving them a new set of clothes and rejuvenating them and making them sound better, throwing in some extra sections that weren't on the record. I mean, it's keeping it's keeping the essence of what you did because that's what people love, but also throwing in a few surprises that just lifts the energy, in the room, and that's what live music should do. It should really when you leave, you should feel elevated and like ready to take on the world, as you leave the venue after seeing
Mhm.
a show. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the intro to New Song on it. I mean, I can totally see you out front with like a guitar or something, just like
Yeah.
messing it up. It's awesome.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I've just acquired another um amazing sort of software instrument that really captures electric guitar very, very authentically and
Yeah.
uh translates very well to the guitar because I've always been searching for that. Guy, one of the first people I saw play live was Jimi Hendrix, and I always wanted to make the keyboards, be able to give that level of excitement that he did with his instrument. So the guitar's always been a big part of what I've done. I mean, right from the early days when I was just used to strap a Moog around my neck and
Yeah,
wander
you
around
were sort of an
the stage.
innovator in that, getting out front with the keyboard.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it had all, it was all connected. There was no wireless happening in those
Right.
days. So I was dragging a low, a sort of snake of cables behind me. But it was just being able to move around, on stage as a keyboard player and being liberated from that solitary position that most of like Emerson. Emerson did this exactly that, and he was the big influence on me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been spending some time with your 21st century stuff, and I'm loving it. I'm really digging it.
Mm,
And a couple songs really touched me.
mm,
Um, "Soon You'll Go" from 2009's Ordinary Heroes
mm.
is about someone you love moving on, and I can relate as I've watched my children grow and said
Yes.
goodbye to both my parents over the past decade. How does music help us embrace loss in our lives and help us embrace our humanness?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it really comes down to the role of the songwriter, because what what we try and do, what certainly what I try and do is articulate the feelings that many people who are going to be listening to the music will be going through and will be feeling, and your job as a songwriter is to articulate that in the best deepest way that you can possibly think of, because other people won't necessarily be able to say how they're feeling, but the song will say it for you. And with that particular song, I know that a lot of people said that they actually played it to their sons and daughters who were leaving home and great friends and stuff like that, and they played it to them to send to send a message. And I thought, oh wow, what a honor that is, to have for your songs to be used in that way. But it was every time I was recording it, every time I was singing it, I'd be, tears would be streaming
Mm,
down my face because
same.
that's what I was going through. My daughter was leaving home, to go to university, and like I wouldn't be seeing her like every day, and I was devastated. So I think, those moments need to be marked, and songs are a great way of doing that. They're the thing that can really bring out that emotion.
Yeah, similarly, Mother
Mm.
from your 2019
Yeah,
album, Transform, is
yeah,
particularly moving for me.
yeah.
I did a slideshow of stills of my mother at the memorial and
Mm, mm,
set it
mm.
to a Rufus Wainwright song. But I wish I'd have known of this came out after she passed.
Yeah,
It would have
yeah.
this was would have been brilliant. Can you tell me a bit about that song?
Yeah, well, it's obviously it's about my mum and how I felt about her, and I've found it absolutely impossible to sing.
I can
I'll never,
imagine.
I'll never be able to do it live because
Mm,
it will just, I'll be back there, thinking of her, and I just won't get through the song, which is
yeah,
which you need to be able to do live.
that's right.
But that's one of those songs I won't be able to get through. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's powerful.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us, actually. Um, and I now this comes out a little left field here, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to ask you about your Buddhist practice. Can you tell me how your practice has impacted your life?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been practicing now since 1993, so that's like 31 years, is it? Something like that.
Wow, seems
Um,
hard to believe, but yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
yeah, and that's a practice that I do every day, and for me, um, it's about maintaining, a really hopeful, positive view of life in general and the world. We it's really difficult being a human being, I believe, for all of us. It's tough
Yes.
because we are assailed by so many different influences and so many difficulties and negativities. But when I when with my chanting every day, it's a chance for me to reinforce a hopeful view of the future and to realize that everything counts and everything matters. And it really is about personal transformation. If we want to change the world, we've got to start with ourselves and then let that spread out. And the stronger that we become and the more determined we become, then that's the effect that we have on all our spheres of influence that we all have. Everyone has that. So, and it's about acknowledging how amazing human beings are. What incredible creatures
Mhm.
that we are, and
Yes.
just remembering that and remembering the potential that lies in every single person. So for
Hmm.
me, it's not something you just go, oh yeah, I kind of know that now. I don't need, but with my practice, it just reaffirms that every day. So because I think we need to keep, working on it. Because I have times when I get depressed. I have times when, I feel, oh, look at what's happening in the world. It's like these terrible things that are happening, and you can get very dispirited. But then I come back to my practice and like, yeah, okay, that may be the case, but we can affect it. We can change things one person at a time, just like respecting people's lives, respecting different opinions, all that stuff. And so it really equips me to do what I do, and it gives me a motivation to really do what I do and continue it into the future.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Mm.
That's inspiring as well. Thank you. Now, sort of along the lines, I love this quote I read that's attributed to you. My songs are not about drug taking or debauchery or rock and roll. They're about positive thinking and challenging people's ideas. I wasn't
Mm.
fashionable. I never got good reviews, but I'm proud of the fact that I wasn't liked by the media. Pop music is so reactionary and bigoted, and I found that what's cool is often very shallow and
Mm.
transient.
Mm.
Um, it's a really powerful quote. It's very interesting. And I'm inspired, by how you've lived your life as an artist and a human. And I'm wondering, can you envision a post mass media age that isn't driven by the profit motive?
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, we touched on it earlier about people now being able to really write their own narrative about what they feel and what they think. I mean, obviously, there's a side to that that means that people say some pretty horrible things, but at the same time, people aren't beholden to somebody making a judgment about you that is uninformed. So for instance, like I take my social media really seriously, and my daughter Mika runs it, with me, and so we can really say the sort of things and encourage the sort of things that we believe in, and ways of behaving that we think are good. And um, so it, in a way, it can be, you won't be on national TV, you won't be on national radio, maybe, saying these things, but you will be saying what you really feel. And that's the world that we find ourselves in now, I think. And it's a question of like, well, how do we use that? Let's use it for good reasons. And like the whole thing about AI, let's use it to things that really help human beings be great, not take work and destroy whole industries. So yeah, it's I think I would love to see a world where actually the whole motive of everyone's endeavors would be for human beings to thrive and flourish and be, not fighting each other, no, not being violent,
Yes.
respecting, that's what I'd like to see. I mean, I think that deep down, everyone would like that. And so that's what we're working towards, and I do believe that will come about. But it means everyone working towards it in whatever way they can, and every action counts. That's the thing. Every single, everyone has the power to influence things.
Yes. So sort of
Mm.
one post at a time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, great. And where can people follow you on social media?
Well, we do Facebook, we do Instagram now, which is growing. I even
Mm,
TikTok now,
okay.
and X as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Everybody should look for your stuff and check it out and follow Howard Jones on those platforms. Um, Fans here in the States also need to know that you'll be touring North America this summer.
Mm.
The tour starts on August 14th in Redmond, Washington, and you're headlining with ABC and Haircut 100. What a
Yeah.
great bill. Sounds so fun.
It,
What can we expect from you this time out, Howard?
well, yeah, I mean, I think I'm thinking about it from the point of view of people coming to that show. What an amazing evening of music it's going to be. The
Yes.
sort of sophistication of ABC and the great songs, and the fact that Haircut have not toured America for 40 years, and they've got such great, and they're bringing a brass section, and I was like, it's
Oh,
going
that's
to be
great.
such a great night. Um, and we're gonna, be so pleased to be there. It will be a set that is quite similar to the Live at the O2, with more songs, obviously, in there. But yeah, it's going to be. I mean, a celebratory night. I think it will be very. People will feel great once they, on their way home, they'll feel buzzed up and ready to take on the world. That's what I want. That's what I want people to feel like, really elevated and positive, and walk out of there walking a bit taller.
Yeah. Well, very, very cool. Well, it looks like the tape's about to run out here, so I want to remind everyone to check out Live at the O2 on your favorite streaming platform, or better yet, buy it on vinyl or CD on Cherry Red Records. And visit howardjones.com, as well as following him on the other social media platforms. But go to his site and order all kinds of music and merch. I think I'll be scoring the signed 2 CD edition of Dialogue, which is a great record. And also check the tour dates and share the love with Howard and the band and ABC and Haircut 100 when they play near you. So you've been so important to so many people, Howard, who might not know about all the great work you continue to do. What would you like to say to those folks?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, I like to say to people, thanks for giving me the platform to do what I do, really, because I mean, I love this, and this is what I'm reasonably good at. But I can't do it without people supporting that work and liking what I do, and then coming to see the shows and all that stuff. So I just like I'm always feeling very, very grateful to be in this position. And the thing is, you can count on me to give it 100% right until I drop. So, in a sense, it's like I've only just started. I don't know how much time I've got left, but it'll all be packed with the best the best that I can do. So yeah, I think that the next 10 years is going to be really, really important for me, and I'm going to give it 100%.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, we'll be following you. And thank you so much for this, Howard. I wish you all the
No,
best.
no, it's great, Chris. No, thanks. It's been great talking with you, and great questions. And I wish you every success.
Thank you. Ami Tuofo.
Mhm.
Isn't that what you say in Buddhism?
Sorry. Say that again.
Ami Tuofo?
I'm not familiar with that phrase, but I'm sure you're
Okay.
absolutely right. But I'm sure you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but I was just sort of looking up something. What do you say to, in Buddhism, when you
Well,
greet or say goodbye?
well, well, I mean, Buddhism is really about the culture that you're in. And so we wouldn't necessarily use language that wasn't of our own, so
Okay.
it would be like, yeah, hope everything goes well with you,
All
for
right.
you, and respect to you and your family and all that. But yeah, we'd be yeah, that's right. We try and avoid, and we like to be in the culture that we're in and
Yeah.
use the language of that culture. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm only beginning to develop a practice, not necessarily in the Buddhist
Great.
context, but um, so I
Great.
appreciate all your encouraging words along those lines as well. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll see you
Brilliant.
when you come to North America.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye bye.